It's the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion. This is for Wednesday, the 4th of September. I'm Michael Groff. Hot and dry. That will be the story for our forecast, not only today, but for the rest of the week, the weekend, and into at least the first half of next week. Temperatures could be flirting with record highs at times. But then way out there toward the very end of the forecast period, things do start to get a little bit more interesting, and we'll talk about that as we dive on in and discuss. First, here's that almanac from yesterday. 108 degrees the afternoon high, 88 was the morning low, 104 and 82 are the averages for this time of year, not far away from that record high of 112 degrees. Today's record high, 114, set in 2020. I think we're going to be safe on that, but it won't be far away from that one either. Looking outside right now here at 10:06 a.m. We've got mostly sunny sky, 99 degrees at Sky Harbor, dew point 50, humidity 20%, wind from the south-southeast at 12 miles per hour. Barometer is steady. Upper level weather pattern across the nation shows high pressure firmly in control out here across the west, and it is just bone dry. I mean, you see those darker shades on the water vapor satellite view from California through the Great Basin, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, even much of West Texas, and that is because there's just no moisture in the atmosphere, and that extends well out into the Pacific. This ridge is just the dominant force. Monsoon moisture very far away from us, and no sign that that's going to come up here, at least for the next few days. Now, by this weekend, we could see a little bit of an increase in moisture for some widely scattered thunderstorms over northern Arizona. But around here, we'll continue with dry conditions. Here's the watch warning map. Heat is the big story out here in the west. We've got excessive heat warnings and heat advisories over the Pacific Northwest, the Treasure Valley of Idaho, southward through California, the valleys of California, even coastal California seeing some hot temperatures. And yes, here in the southwest, including Phoenix. We have an excessive heat warning from 11 a.m. this morning through 8 p.m. on Friday. That includes Phoenix, much of south central, southwest, western Arizona, southeast California, southern Nevada, Vegas in there too. They had their hottest summer on record, and they're just tacking on to their heat records too. So, and that's the common theme throughout much of the Southwest. The convective outlook for today, we got that marginal risk of severe storms, level 1 out of 5 from around Denver and Cheyenne, Gillette, Wyoming, over toward Aberdeen and Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Minneapolis, St. Paul, St. Cloud, Brainerd, Minnesota. Yes, you could see some severe storms up there today. The primary threat for many storms in those areas would be strong, gusty, straight-line winds. Of course, in Arizona, things very quiet. Now, speaking of quiet, the tropics had been quiet for quite a while, but as we reach the climatological peak of the hurricane season, we've got, count them, 3 waves out there, 3 points of interest in the Atlantic Basin. One is moving through the Caribbean right now, and that will continue to move to the west-northwest and eventually up toward the Bay of Campeche. And the National Hurricane Center, even in the longer term here over the next 7 days, gives all of these a fairly low chance to develop, generally 30% or less. This one, the lead wave, number 1 there, again, moving into the Bay of Campeche, does not look like it will threaten the United States. Wave number 2 is worth watching. We'll see how that develops. And wave number 3, that looks like it may wind up curving to the north harmlessly out into the Atlantic. But again, all of these with a low chance of development. We're not going to worry about these right now, just something to watch. Obviously, we knew the tropics weren't going to remain dead quiet for the rest of the season. Although so far, the Atlantic hurricane season has turned out to be a far quieter than the robust forecasts that have been put out by many throughout the season. Here's the precipitation outlook. This is valid through Wednesday morning of next week. Rain amounts in Phoenix, nothing statewide. Again, some light precip possible across the northwestern part of the state, northern Arizona, maybe the eastern mountains, scattered about. But generally, rain amounts will be under 1/4 of an inch, and most spots probably don't see anything at all. Again, the monsoon really not much of a factor, and we're going to talk about what's going on with this forecast in more detail, and to do that, we explore the models, see what the future may hold. Here we go, the GFS, the 12Z run. This is valid 5 o'clock this afternoon. High pressure is firmly in control across the west, nosing well on up into western Canada. And we are under this ridge, upper heights, peaking up around 594 decameters and a little bit higher than that maybe tomorrow. What it means down at the surface for the rest of the day today, what you see is what you get. Sunny, very hot. Highs anywhere from 107 to 111 in Phoenix. Hottest deserts is Southeast California, Southwest Arizona, maybe around 113 to 115. For tonight, clear sky, overnight lows upper 70s to upper 80s. Tomorrow, it's more the same. Sunny, hot. Highs 109 to 113. And again, the hottest desert spots could exceed 115 degrees. This is probably going to be the hottest day of the forecast period. Let's hope so. And you see, any shower and storm activity is basically null and void here in Arizona. The closest you'll find to any storms are across New Mexico. Friday, it's more the same. Sunny, hot, dry. Highs anywhere from about 108 to 112. Now, as we go into the weekend, a few things start to change here. The ridge is going to begin to shift a little further to the east. More of a southerly component of the wind begins to develop, and a trough is off the Pacific Northwest coast, and there is an introduction of at least a little bit of moisture into the area, especially across northern Arizona, for some widely scattered showers and thunderstorms possible during the day and afternoon hours on Saturday. But even there, the storms would be widely scattered. Your odds of running into those probably only in about the 20 to 30% range. And so here in the lower deserts, we're just going to be dry. Again, the air, the subcloud layer, just way too dry. Way too dry. Not only that, but just too much warm air aloft. That's been the story most of the summer, and that's going to continue on Saturday. But might see a couple of passing clouds, could see a few cloud buildups way off to the north of us. Sunday, it's kind of the same. A few showers and storms possible in the afternoon and evening hours across northern and eastern Arizona, but here in the lower deserts, we're just dry, hot. The temperatures will come down slightly this weekend. I'd say highs anywhere from about 104 to 108 for both Saturday, Sunday, even into Monday. But again, the air just remains dry for us. A couple of storms over the higher terrain, but even there, they'll be isolated. By Monday, maybe the chance of storms up there only about 10%. Let's keep going, though. This is Tuesday. Sunny, hot, dry. High temperatures again, probably around 105 to 109. There's indications that the ridge may strengthen, and the flow pattern across North America really starts to amplify once more as we get into next week. And as that happens, let me show you here how it looks. This is a week from today, Wednesday, the 11th of September. Pretty deep trough now exists across the Pacific Northwest and nosing into the northern Great Basin. And this could displace our ridge a bit and bring us slightly lower temperatures. I'd say highs would probably drop back a couple of degrees here. You see that ridge? I mean, look at that ridge up across Canada. That is a monstrously strong ridge. So the northern plains would see kind of a late season heat wave. But we would see temperatures backing off at least a little bit with that trough well to the north of us. No precipitation from that feature, though. But hang on just a second, because now as we go out 10 days, this is Friday the 13th. And looky here. Got a trough to the north of us. And the GFS doing what the GFS likes to do in developing these tropical systems off to the south. And it brings this one up past the Baja and into the Gulf of California by about the end of next week. And if that were to happen, I mean, we would see a pretty good chance at showers and storms coming into Arizona at that point. I mean, it really depends on the track of all this, but this, I just want to stress, this is way out here in fantasy land. And we have seen the GFS is trying to develop a tropical cyclone out here next week, middle and latter part of next week, and bring it up either the west coast of Mexico or into Arizona. And there are a handful of ensemble members in the GFS and the European ensemble that are on board with that. But for the most part, most of the ensemble data is, still suggests that we'll stay dry. But we're going to watch this. This is a trend we'll keep an eye on. These are things that are obviously possible this time of the year, especially as we get into September and October. We get these deeper troughs. And if a tropical cyclone develops in the East Pacific, especially with these systems sitting where they are, they could advect at least some moisture or bring the entire circulation up our way. That does happen every few years here in the Southwest. So we'll see if that does in fact occur. But right now, this is just fantasy. Also, the other thing, look at the 591 ridge sitting over Ontario. I mean, that is absolutely in September, no doubt. I mean, that is wild. Absolutely. And there would be some incredible heat. Some record heat would be taking place across the central northern plains, the Great Lakes, and across central and eastern Canada. My goodness. But again, this is likely to change. But I did stress to you one trend that we do see developing over the forecast period that does appear to be likely is an amplification to the pattern over North America. So given that, if a tropical cyclone did develop to the south of us, it would have at least a decent chance of getting some moisture drawn up here. All right, now this is reflected in our ensemble data here. Let's look at this. This is rainfall for Phoenix going out through the 18th off of the GFS ensemble. Oh boy, the control member is way up there over 1.25 inches, nosing up toward 1.5 inches. And you got a couple of members that are pretty decent here. In fact, quite a few members do indicate some precipitation. The ensemble mean remains about 1/4 inch, but the European ensemble, again, look at the control member here, up at 2 inches of rain between now and the 18th of September. And again, it buys into this idea of a tropical cyclone getting caught up and brought up here. And a couple of the members in the European ensemble are on board with this, but there's 51 members and many of them show nothing. And some of them show a little bit of rain out here with that feature or some sort of tropical moisture getting drawn up here. But again, this is a handful, a clear outlier solution right now. But I know that there's a lot of you out there going, boy, I sure hope that happens. And I do too, because that would sure break up the heat around here, wouldn't it? Our streak of 100-degree days would almost certainly come to an end if we could get that to happen. And we could sure use the rain too. All right. Checking out temperatures off the national blend of models. Right now, though, again, taking the ensemble approach, highs are going to stay way above average. Hot today, tomorrow, Friday, even the weekend, even next week. All of these values are above average. And keep in mind, the average high temperature by the end of this period is down to around 100 degrees. So we're going to be still way, way, way above average. All right. And that's going to do it for the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion for today. My next video is due back here tomorrow morning. Should you happen to enjoy these videos, then be sure to subscribe, like, share, click that notification bell, leave those comments, questions, and suggestions. If you really like what we do here, then click that thanks icon below the video here on YouTube. Make those monetary contributions, or you can donate directly to us via PayPal. groffshow@gmail.com is the address on PayPal. That's GROFF show@gmail.com for PayPal. The executive producer of the Phoenix, Arizona weather discussion is my one and only, the sweetest of all time, the Asian sensation and proprietor of sweetchildaz.com.org and the Facebook page of the same name, Sweet Child Arizona. I'm talking about my Michelle. Check her out. Check out her blogs. Check out everything, her videos, all the Michelle-related stuff that's down there in the description. So give that a look. Give that a listen. And speaking of listens, I also encourage you to check out our streaming station, available 24/7, 365. It's called KMGX. We play a ton of music and have a lot of fun with that. Myself and Michelle put that together. It's our labor of love, so give that a listen also. All right, folks, thank you guys so much for watching, all of your continued support. It is so greatly appreciated. Please be safe, stay cool, stay hydrated out there. Yeah, be drinking lots of water, okay? And you guys have yourselves a beautiful rest of your Wednesday.